Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to the Porsche 718 Cayman T. Now then guys, welcome back to Harbour Cars. Would you believe it's about 6 months since I picked up my 718 Boxster GTS, and I'm happy to report I am still loving the car very, very much. But today I'm here exploring a different Porsche. I want to talk about the Cayman. And in particular, I want to talk about the Caymans that are the ultimate driver's car. And I'm stood in front of this absolutely beautiful 981 GT4. And for many people, this is the ultimate Cayman. I want to explore that in this video and also a video that will be coming to the channel in a couple of weeks' time. First up, I've driven a 981 GT4 in the very early days of Petrol Ped. I didn't actually get to film it because it was at the Porsche Experience Centre at Silverstone, but I just remember it blowing my mind completely. And then last year I spent quite a lot of time in a 718 GT4 when I did the NC500 driving tour with SEC private members. But when I picked up Lady P, in the showroom there was a beautiful, very highly spec'd 718 Cayman T. And Sam said, that's a driver's car, and it's a really, really good price point to come into. And unfortunately, literally a few days later, he sold it, and I never got to drive that car. But there's another one back in stock. It's parked just over there, and today I want to explore bang for buck where that price point and driver's car and perfect Porsche meet. So let's talk about the GT4 first up. This one, rather lovely. Lovely, isn't it? Colour, racing yellow. Certainly stands out from the pack. But this particular car, it's a 981 GT4. It's a 2016 car. It's got 5,700 miles on the clock, and it's a really, really nice spec. It's got the carbon buckets. It's a manual. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Currently up for sale for just shy of £78,000. Now, if you wanted to then go to the 718 GT4, they are quite a bit more money. I guess you're looking at high 90s. It depends on the spec and the mileage, and of course you could possibly breach the £100,000 mark. So they are significantly more money. And we could have an argument till the cows come home as to which is the better GT4, whether it's the 981 or the 718. Having driven both, they are both stunning, stunning things. In the back of this is a 3.8 litre flat six that just sounds absolutely delicious when on full chat. But they're a lot of money. And, you know, if you can afford that, then that's certainly potentially the ultimate Porsche driver's car. When I was buying my car, there were two issues with the GT4. I did consider one seriously. My two issues were, I am a big soft top guy and I wanted to be able to drop the roof. And the biggest issue was I couldn't quite stretch to the sort of 75, 80, 85,000 pound mark that I would have needed to get into a GT4. So sadly, it wasn't a car for me. But this is certainly right up there in terms of driver's car. But what if you haven't got that kind of money? What if you wanted a similar experience, maybe 80% of the experience at a slightly lower budget? Well, that potentially is where the Cayman T comes in play. So here she is, the Cayman T. Now I must say we've lucked out massively today with the weather. This week has been pretty horrible really. Very overcast, lots and lots of rain, and today bright blue skies and sunshine. Almost too much sunshine for filming, to be honest. But let me tell you a little bit more about this car and perhaps justify why I'm putting this car in the same conversation as something like a GT4. So first up, this is the 2 litre flat 4, and instantly I can hear people going, the GT4's got a flat 6, the 718 isn't a proper Porsche, it's got a flat 4, it sounds awful. All I need to say to anybody is, yes, the 4-cylinder Boxster and Cayman, they do sound different, but they don't sound bad. And actually when you drive them, the turbocharged nature of the car means that it's You know, it's got a lot of torque and it's a really, really great car to drive. So don't be put off by this just because it's not got a flat 6. And this is the 2-litre version of the flat 4, so it's only producing about 300 horsepower compared with an S, which would be up at around about 350 horsepower, or my GTS at 360 horsepower. There's still plenty of punch in this car to help you enjoy a nice B-road. But it's the spec of this car that I think is really, really interesting. So first up, it's a manual. We'll have a look on the inside in a moment. But it's also got the Porsche ceramic brake option, which that GT4 didn't have. So it's very, very nicely spec'd indeed. The T is basically a bit more stripped out and a little bit more lightweight, which means that that 300 horsepower is even more potent. But yeah, from the outside, a good looking car. I'd be very tempted to put a GT4 wing on the back, and then it could kind of look a bit more GT4-like as well. I know some of you will hate that idea. But let's have a look on the inside, because the inside's got a cracking spec. It really is very lovely in here. So first up, you've got exactly the same seats as in the GT4 over there, the carbon buckets. These things, I'm just obsessed with them. They're beautiful. I think we first saw them in the 918 Spider, but they are an amazing seat. They are so supportive. I guess the only thing to say is they are in a fixed position. So if you've got any kind of back problems, they might not be for you, and you might be better off in the kind of more comfort-oriented seat. But for this car and for what it's designed to do, I think these things are awesome, and they set the car off brilliantly, and they were a very, very expensive option. This car's also got a 6-speed manual, and it's not even hit 9,500 miles yet. It's beautiful Alcantara steering wheel, and all in all, this car is £51,500. That is £25,000, well, a bit more than that actually, cheaper than the GT4 over there. And I don't think it's £25,000 less car. I think this car is going to be pretty special to drive. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to drag Sam away from his desk for an hour and take him out driving so we can talk a little bit more about this car. But it's beautiful, absolutely stunning. White dials to contrast with a white paintwork on the outside. Alcantara headlinings, just lovely in here. Really, really lovely. Out and about. Sam, welcome back to the channel, mate.
Thank you.
You'll be pleased to know I'm still loving my car. So we're going out for a bit of a drive. I want to do a couple of things. The first thing I want to do, because I was a bit confused, is whereabouts this car sits in the Cayman lineup, if you like. Because, you know, you think Cayman, then an S, then a GTS. So where's this sit?
Right between the non-S and the S.
Non-S and the S, so I guess that would make sense because the S has then got the 2.5 350 brake.
Yeah.
However, whoever bought this car from new was a total car specification hero because he spent a lot of money spec'ing this. So these seats are lovely. They are what, £3,500 option, something in that kind of ballpark.
Yeah.
The ceramic brake option,
yeah, again,
£5-6 grand maybe.
Yeah,
Which is fairly meaty. But what else has this car got above the standard one?
So above the non-S.
Yes.
So the T gives you PASM, so you've got 20mm lower on the chassis.
Yeah.
You get sport chrono, you get sports exhaust, you get a lot of different leather options on the car, gloss back interiors. 20-inch alloys on it, so Carrera S. In this particular car, they're in platinum, and that's complemented on the wing mirrors as well.
Yeah.
So you get the detail on that. GT steering wheel with the mode dial, which is a nice option. You also get the
lightweight pulls,
lightweight door pulls as well,
cool,
which are in silver. Yeah, it's lovely. It's also got the PCM system, so on the actual Cayman T itself, that would just be an empty hull.
Yeah.
Because it's the lightweight car. This owner's just got to put it in because everyone wants the PCM in the car. So yeah, Yeah, really nice spec.
So at the money, kind of 51 and a half.
Yeah.
This is kind of, I guess, equivalent to an S in terms of equivalent mileage, and just because of the spec, do you think?
In terms of the spec, very much so.
Nuts, the spec.
Yeah, and the jump between the 2 to the 2.5 is very small in how they drive.
Yeah.
Obviously, this being the manual with a short shift makes it quite nice, as you're experiencing now.
Yeah. So, all right, next up we go and find, oh look, where we are, on one of my favourite reviewing roads. What a surprise. To just have a chat about the 2 litre 300 brake. For me, that's a sweet spot for a UK road to have a lot of fun, because you can really exploit it. And already this manual box is lovely. Right, here we go. So, in sport mode. So first off, people give the 4-pot Boxster and Cayman a bit of a hard time, and I always just say it sounds different.
Yeah.
And as I said in my intro, they've got so much torque because of the turbo. They're just a different car to drive. You don't need to get them right high up in the rev range to get the best out of them. Now it's a little bit damp today, and this is a car that's for sale, so I'll be on my best behaviour, you'll be pleased to know.
Yeah, that'd be nice to hear.
So first up, carbon ceramic brakes. I mean, they're going to be good, aren't they? They've got the auto blip feature on the manual box, so it's always great on the way down. Unless you're doing lots of track days, I think carbon ceramics are a little bit overkill. They do keep the wheels clean, and you've got nice bright yellow calipers which look good. But I'm not complaining, because, well, it'd be great until you needed to replace this sort of hats. Let's just come into here and just, this gearbox, I've forgotten just how good a Porsche manual gearbox is.
Be coming away from your GTS.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good to me. And it's got the sports exhausts.
Yeah.
This has got mechanical limited slip diff.
It does, yeah. Porsche torque vectoring, yeah.
So that, for me, that if you've got the kind of 300 horsepower, a limited slip diff, that on a road like this, that's kind of all you need. You don't, the problem with
chrono, sports exhaust.
Don't get me wrong, being sat in a 400 horsepower GT4 down here would be great fun, but you can still exploit the car probably more with 300 brake, push it more, rev it out more.
Yeah.
Than, especially with, if you think about the Spider and GT4, they've got quite long gears, haven't they? So you're almost in at the speed limit, nearly in first.
Yeah, quite happily. Yeah.
So this is nice. Don't think a bit of Sport Plus.
Yeah, go for it.
It's really nice and free revving. That gearbox is mega. Do you do Part X? My problem with it is you can't drop the roof, but everything else about this car, it just feels so tight. Revs out beautifully. The gearbox is just lovely. On the way down, those auto blips are mega, aren't they? And yet you've not, I feel like even though it's a damp day, there's lots of kind of bits of puddles, bits of side runoff from the fields and stuff. I'm not sitting here massively intimidated by it, even though it's in Sport Plus. Traction backed off a little bit.
Yeah, so you've also got it'll put on PASM as well by putting in Sport Plus.
Yeah, and that's not too bad.
Stiffen the chassis. Yeah, it's not over.
Not too bad at all.
Not overkill at all.
It doesn't feel that much slower than mine. I think maybe the extra engagement of the manual box, but it's got plenty of go. I think people will be put off, or some people might be put off. Oh, it's it's only the 2-litre one. It's only got 300 horsepower.
I think that's what I was saying. I think the gap between the Cayman 2-litre and the 2.5 is so small.
Yeah.
It's normally down to spec. So when you get this car that's sort of right between the two of them, with everything that you could want on the car, then it's perfect.
The question I posed at the beginning was, I mean, I'm comparing this with the GT4, which is clearly a little bit stretching the bounds of the car, but this is £25,000 cheaper than the yellow one you've got in the showroom.
Yeah.
And half the price of a 718 GT4.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And it's not giving half the fun.
No.
And that's, so I think, we'd all love to have a GT4 on the driveway for sure, but if you can't stretch to that, which I can't, this, mate, serious cost. The gearbox is ace.
This also delivers twofold on everyday use as well as doing what you're demonstrating at the moment.
Yeah. Spanking it. But no, because you've got, I guess, the nice thing about this as well is if you buy a car at this level, you're probably less concerned about putting loads of miles on it. You can drive it every day and not worry about it too much. You buy something like a GT4, and there's always going to be something, and it would be in the back of my mind, you try and keep the miles reasonably okay, you've got to keep its values up and all those types of things. Not this. With those brakes is that on a public road you never smash a set of brakes on the road like you do on a circuit, but they're sure-footed and give you lots of stopping power. And I love this car. And when you reached out to me when I was buying the Boxster, you said you've got to drive this car. And I was gutted I couldn't, even though one of my followers bought it.
It was only the following week, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then when this one came back on, I thought it was the same car, but it's not. I'm so glad I came to drive it because it's an absolute peach. I love it. It's for sale. I'll put the details in the description below. But on a serious note, though, I would maybe have overlooked the Cayman T, and I wouldn't do that anymore because it's an absolute banger.
Yeah.
Really real. What do you think, guys? What's your thoughts? Would you have this as a kind of 25 grand cheaper GT4, stick a wing on the back? Nobody'd ever know, and you can have just as much fun.
You're obsessed with sticking the wing on the back, aren't you?
I am obsessed with sticking the wing on the back. Do you think you could do a wing on the box? That'd be silly.
Do a duck's tail on it.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. But the next Cayman I'm going to drive in my series. So we've kind of done GT4 and taken a step back and thought, how can you get one at a more reasonable budget? The next Cayman I'm going to drive next week, which you're quite excited about and have asked me to pop in and show you, is the GT4 RS. Perhaps the ultimate, certainly the ultimate Cayman, and potentially one of the ultimate Porsches. It's a car that Porsche said they'd never make. And I've got one next week. So stay tuned to the channel because budget's going to have to go up a little bit.
Maybe a smidge.
You've also got to be a very, very special Porsche customer to be able to even buy one, so it's dream car territory for most of us. But I'll be interested to see what it's like to drive. I'll have to take you out for a spin, mate.
Yeah.
Anyway, stay tuned for that. I'll look some national speed limit road. If you enjoyed that, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you in the next film.